All right, guys, this is grammar in our guided reading part of our day. And we're working on page 344 in our guided reading packets. So if you don't have your packet, pause the video, grab it, and let's take a look. Okie dokie, so we're on page 344. Okay, we're comparing with good and bad. Good and bad. So yesterday we talked about comparative and superlative adjectives. And that's kind of what we're doing today, except that good and bad are irregular adjectives. They're a little bit different. We can't just add ER to good when we're comparing two things, because we don't say that Ava Lee is gooder at doing a math problem than Miles. We don't say gooder, right? That doesn't work. That's why they're considered irregular adjectives. So let's learn a little bit more about them and then we'll complete this page. Badder is also an irregular adjective. We can't say badder. That Mrs. Norman is badder at TikToks than Sophie, right? We don't say I'm badder at them. So I definitely am worse at doing TikToks than any of you, because for some reason I cannot dance. Like, I look so silly. At least I think I do, and I probably don't as much as I think I do. I wish I didn't think that way about myself. I need to be better. I love music, and I can sing, and I can play music. I play the piano, and I play the oboe, and I sing a lot. But for some reason, like, I can't dance. It's really silly. Okay, back on track. Here we go. We're reading in the box at the top. Right up here. Here we go. The adjectives good and bad are irregular adjectives. That's what we just said. To form their comparative and superlative forms, do not add ER or EST. Doesn't work. Gooder, goodest, badder, baddest. No, we can't do that. So do not add ER or EST endings or use the word more or most. More, gooder, more, no, it's not right. That doesn't sound right. That's why these are irregular. The chart below shows which form of good and bad to use. Okay, so our adjective is good. The comparative form is better. That's when we are comparing two things, right? Malia is better at math than Mrs. Norman. We're comparing Malia and Mrs. Norman, so two things, and we would use the word better, okay? Best is the superlative form. There we go. Whew. You've probably heard the term before if you say good, better, best, right? Some of you might have heard that before, and this is the why we use those. So best is the superlative form, and that means that we're comparing more than just two people, right? We could say that Aiden is the best artist in the whole class. That is meaning that we are comparing more than just two people. We've got a whole class, right? That's 25 people. So we would say that Aiden is the best. Now, we have amazing artists in our class, so I was just using him as an example. He is a good artist, but we have a lot of other good artists in our class as well, okay? So no one, don't take offense. I'm just throwing out names here, okay? Then underneath that, we have bad is there as our adjective. The comparative is worse. The superlative form is worst. So bad, worse, worst. Okay, we wouldn't say bad, badder, baddest. Nope, bad, worse, worst. Okay, I'm hoping that makes sense. Remember that comparative is when we compare two objects, and then superlative is when we compare anything more than that. Let's just jump down to some of the problems, and we'll do a few together, and I think that should make things a little bit clearer, right? So 1 through 4, look at the underlined word in each sentence. If it is correct, write C on the line. If it is incorrect, write the correct form of good or bad. Okay, number 1. Many people traveled west because they wanted a best life. Does best fit that way? Actually, I would say better, because they're comparing their past life to their life in the West, right? They traveled. They had a past life in the East, and now they have a life in the West. So they're comparing two things. So it should be the comparative form of good, which would be better. Okay, so on this one, because that one wasn't right, you need to write better. Better on the line. There we go. Number 2, right? On number 1, you wrote better on the line. Many people traveled west because they wanted a better life. Okay, number 2. Which is worst? Keeping a small farm or working hard to start a new farm? Okay, so here we are comparing two things. Keeping a small farm or working hard to start a new farm. Comparing two things. Look back and you see which form of bad that we're going to use. Comparative does two things. Superlative compares more than two things. So we're going to use the comparative, which in this case would not be worst. It would just be worse. Let's read it with that correct one and see if that sounds better. Oh, I just used it in a sentence. Go, Mrs. Norman. Which is worse? Keeping a small farm or working hard to start a new farm? Worse is the correct one to use. So we're going to cross off worst and write worse, W-O-R-S-E, on the line for number 2. I'm going to let you finish 3 and 4 on your own. I know you can do it. 5 through 8, it says circle the word that correctly completes the sentence. You're basically doing the same thing, but now you have an option between two different ones, and you're just going to circle the one that's correct. You have to read through like this. Number 5. School children tried to earn good test scores on their tests. Or, school children tried to earn best scores on their tests. Circle the best one. Circle the correct one. It's a little confusing, doesn't it, you guys? And we can talk about these a little bit later and make sure that we were all right and that we've got it. If you have questions, leave it in the comments. I will check those all the time. You could also bring it up in our Zoom meeting. We are meeting Tuesday morning at 10. So if you see this before, make sure you are planning on that. Okie dokie, talk to you later.